Happy Monday. Today we're talking all about how to get started with using LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Now, some of you may already have tuned out because you're like, Mindy, I don't know about Sales Navigator. We'll talk about that in just a moment. So hang with me, even if you don't have Sales Navigator, but even if you're just a little bit curious, we will get into the details. So, how was your weekend? If you celebrate the holiday, I hope you enjoyed a wonderful time with your family and friends. We don't really do as much as many others for the holidays, but we do like to give the kids a holiday budget. So, keeps it really easy on us because we set them loose on Amazon. Here's how much you have to spend. We'll order it and it shows up at the door. So I like easy peasy lemon squeezy holidays. So my 9-year-old is really into squishmallows and her room is filled with them. So you can guess where her money went. My 7-year-old, he preferred to put his money towards Bakugans or Robux. So kids these days, stuff that we were into back in the day. Now it is time for Mondays with Mindy. This is a weekly show on Mondays, you guessed it, where I talk about all things LinkedIn, pipeline, promo, and profiles, what I call the 3 Ps of LinkedIn. So, do you have questions about LinkedIn that you want me to answer? Be sure to like this post, whether you're watching live or from the replay. Leave your questions below. For example, today's topic comes from a listener question. I'm using a little bit of a different format today because we're going to get into the nitty gritty of Sales Navigator and how to get started. So if you want your question answered, make sure to leave it in the comments below or wherever you are, up, down, below, to the side, direct message me, and I will answer your question. So let's get to today's topic. How do you actually get started using a LinkedIn Sales Navigator? So Louisa asked me recently about doing a show on this. She said, Mindy, do you have an episode on Sales Navigator specifically? And I told her, no, I really don't. And there's a reason for that. It's because not everyone needs Sales Navigator. So for those of you who are curious if you actually need to pay for LinkedIn, here is my answer on that. So, if you are on the fence about a premium account, any type of premium account, whether it's Sales Navigator, whether it's the career premium or whatever they're calling it these days, the business, there's all kinds of different levels of premium accounts that will give you emails and access to, certain insights and features. My honest opinion is if you are not doing research, if you are not using LinkedIn to identify prospects and you are not messaging them using InMails, so if you're not planning to use InMails, if you're not planning to create lists, if you don't want LinkedIn CRM, then you probably don't need a paid LinkedIn account. So then the question is, well, Mindy, I think I have enough people I'm already reaching out to, but maybe Sales Navigator could help me find people that are a little bit more difficult to find. The beautiful thing about something like Sales Navigator is that it is an awesome search tool. So I will actually take you into my Sales Navigator account today, but just saying, if you are having trouble finding your prospects, or if you're like most of the people I work with, when they are thinking about their prospects, they don't have a list. Like if you already have a list of companies, names, people, email addresses, all of that good stuff, then Sales Navigator might not be necessary for you until that runs dry or if that list is out of date. The wonderful thing about Sales Navigator is that everything is pretty much current because as people move and shift around and leave jobs and go to new jobs, all of that gets updated on LinkedIn pretty quickly because they're updating it themselves. So LinkedIn information tends to be pretty accurate, and most people are reachable on LinkedIn these days if they are a professional of any sort. So, therefore, Sales Navigator, very helpful if you need to create a list or if you know what types of prospects you're looking for. For example, let's use a recent example here. So I'm working with a consultant. They are targeting thought leaders, well, not really thought leaders, but people with a thought leadership perspective that are CEOs or VPs in a certain size organization. So, how do they actually go about finding these people? Well, you can run a search in Sales Navigator and it'll spit out a bunch of names. Now, you still actually have to look through those names to make sure they are a fit. But LinkedIn will help you get a whole lot closer than if you are trying to get by with like a free LinkedIn search where you kind of have to page through a lot of names and you aren't able to add in a lot of factors like how long they've been in that position, narrow it down by the size of company, geographic region, do some Boolean searching. You can get by. You can look up some tutorials to get by with using the free LinkedIn search and getting okay results. But if you want it to be effective, efficient, you want to stay organized, Sales Navigator is definitely worth it from that perspective. So, a lot of business development and salespeople will use Sales Navigator. You can also get the Sales Navigator team if you have other people on your team and you want to share people and connections and CRMs, then Sales Navigator will allow you to do that as well. So, in a nutshell, get a premium account, especially Sales Navigator. If you are doing extensive searching on LinkedIn, if you aren't going to do any searching on LinkedIn, then just use the regular old LinkedIn account. Unless you really want to send emails, unless you really want access to LinkedIn Learning, if you really, really, really want to see who's looking at your profile, some people tell me that's important to them. Okay, that's fine. Go ahead and pay the monthly amount for LinkedIn. So, let's hop in today because we have a lot to cover. I really want to show you the inner workings of Sales Navigator. This is not going to be an in-depth tutorial. This is a getting started. So what to do if you have never used Sales Navigator and you're hopping in trying to figure out how to get started for the first time. So even if you are pretty good with Sales Navigator, you probably will learn something, but for the most part, this is geared towards those of you who are just getting started. So hey there, for those who don't know me, my name is Mindi Rosser. I'm the founder of Mindi Rosser Marketing, and I have a group program called the LinkedIn Accelerator for those who want to go from 0 to 60 on LinkedIn with their profile and their network. So we are already getting close to talking about the summer 2023 waitlist. So if you want to get on the waitlist, shoot me a message. I will make sure you get added to the waitlist so you will know when the doors to the program are opening soon. So I help business leaders who feel they are the best kept secret in their industry to become that go-to visible expert in their niche so they can get that next opportunity, grow their business, and scale their impact. In this live, like I mentioned, we are going to talk about why not learning how to use LinkedIn Sales Navigator effectively is causing you to miss out on identifying those premium prospects and how you can easily set up Sales Navigator with a simple search. So go ahead and like this post, whether you're live or watching from the replay, to give it some social love. So I talked a little bit about Sales Navigator already. There's a lot to be talked about when it comes to Sales Navigator. So don't get me wrong, we are going to try to keep it streamlined. I'm going to do some screen sharing today. Little different format than we normally do on Mondays with Mindi, but that's all good. Like, who doesn't like to see inside someone else's LinkedIn account? I'll tell you, I do. Whenever somebody shares their screen, I'm like, ooh, I want to look in your account. Pretty cool. All right, so we are going to share and just make sure that I am sharing the correct screen. All right, I'm going to go side like that. There we go. All right, so this is my Sales Navigator account. Now, when we log in here, you can see we have at the top, we have home, account, leads, and messaging. So let me explain what those all mean. So home is basically what you're looking at now. So you can see it's like a different view than what you would see in a LinkedIn home feed. You're going to see accounts, leads, so we can actually play with these and we can filter it by accounts, which is companies. Just keep in mind, accounts equals companies, leads equals people. That'll help you keep it straight because a lot of people get confused if you're not a salesperson. It's like, what's the difference between accounts and leads? So if we do it by leads, then we're going to see, oh, okay, here's what people are sharing. What I like about the home screen and what I like about getting people in here, getting accounts, getting leads into your Sales Navigator is that if you want to keep tabs on just the people who are leads or accounts that you want to get into, then you can use Sales Navigator and it gives you a very streamlined feed. So nobody else from my LinkedIn is in here. None of my other connections, not my friends, not my collaborators. It is literally just accounts and leads, people that I actually care about. So from a business development perspective, I should say, I care about my connections too. Don't get me wrong. So this is really helpful if you want that streamlined view. So as we're looking here, you can also see we can save. So if I click save, I can save to a list. You can see all of these different lists here. I could also bookmark. I have the opportunity to bookmark. I could also remove the alert that it's not relevant, turn off this kind of alert. So I can really make this tailored to what I want to see and who I want to see and how I want to see it. So it does give you that opportunity to do that. You could also sort of sort this by relevance versus latest. Latest is going to put the most recent at the top. Relevance is going to, it's LinkedIn's algorithm telling you who and what it thinks is important based on what you've engaged with in the past. Okay. All right, so if you want to see the alert settings, this is cool because you do want to pay attention to your alert settings. You can see all of mine are toggled on here. I haven't turned any off, but I really do want to go in here and think about what I want here because there's a lot of stuff that I don't care about. So keep in mind, certain things like this are going to be triggers. So, some people, when they are targeting like a specific lead, when they start a position at the same company, when they are mentioned in the news, if they accepted your connection request, if they engaged with a post from your company, if they started a position at a new company, this is a big one for a lot of people. Like for some people, this is like, oh, I should reach out to them because they just hopped and job hopped. They just moved to another company and maybe there's an opportunity at that company. So these are all different triggers. If you're a salesperson in business development, you'll look at these and you automatically understand that a lot of these are triggers and things that you really want to pay attention to because they let you know that the person is at a good time and place in work, in business, in life, and that it's a good time to reach out to them. So make sure that this is streamlined and set to what you want to see here. You can also see shared activity. Someone shared a list with you. So for those of you who do have teams and you work with people on teams like other people, then these would be very important for you. Suggested decision makers, all of that good stuff. Okay, so let's go back to the home screen. So just keep in mind, big thing to take away here is accounts, leads, and you can see the alerts that you want to see. That's what matters here. So you can make this really streamlined where you can easily look through your news feed every single day and know exactly if there are any triggers, anything happening with your accounts that you want to pay attention to. You can also engage with things. So if you only want to comment or engage with people that are accounts and leads, or you want to do a little bit of that during your LinkedIn check-in, as I tend to recommend doing a LinkedIn check-in every day and seeing what's happening, then what you'll want to do is use this as your feed just to prioritize the people that you want to engage with. All right. Now let's look over here. Book of business. It's like, oh, book of business, right? All right. So you can definitely see all of your different accounts. So if you have accounts that you are targeting, so these are just sample accounts, different types of organizations. So remember, accounts are organizations that you are targeting. And you are most likely, if you're using accounts, you probably are doing it like an account-based marketing and sales strategy where you're reaching out to you're targeting based on the company and then you're trying to find the right people inside that company, the decision makers that you need to reach out to, so that you can actually break into the company. Well, not literally break into the company, but that you can get that account and talk to the right people so you can work with them. Okay. So, kind of scrolling on down here, personas. So, what does this mean? Identify leads that match your ideal buyer by defining your personas. So, you can see that LinkedIn has figured out who my personas are. And basically, it has figured out, oh, you want director level, director plus. We got a default persona here. We got a CXO here. But you can actually tell LinkedIn what personas you are looking for. So, you can actually start typing these in, and then LinkedIn will feed you people that fit your personas, which is pretty neat. I have not played with this per se because I feel like it's not specific enough for me. In particular, I'm looking for very specific criteria and I'd rather use a list. But if you're a little bit more broad, I would try out personas because it's a really easy way to get started. If you kind of know what you're looking for and you don't feel comfortable starting a search or something like that, I'm going to show you how to create a search. It's fun to play with and tinker with, though. All right, so looking at priority accounts, it's telling me that these are my priority accounts. Great, wonderful. Kind of gives you a level. You're an expert level. What does that actually mean? It's basically all of the things that LinkedIn wants you to hook up to your account to get to that level. So does that really matter? No, it doesn't. Okay, so that's pretty much all I want to show you on the home page. Now, let's move to accounts. All right, so what you can see here is the list of accounts. Now, a lot of people will say, well, how did you get these lists? We'll get there. Don't worry, we'll get there. So basically, when you look at your account list, these are your different accounts. You can break them up however you want, call them whatever you want. And you can see right here that as we look at this list here, we can see some sample companies. We can see an account map. I'm going to briefly take you in here so you can see what the account map is. This is a relatively new feature on LinkedIn. Basically, it's telling you who it thinks inside the company is a great fit, and it kind of tries to map out the different people inside the company so you can make sure that you're reaching out to the right people. It does a little bit of the dirty work for you, but you're still going to need to type in the right job titles. Sometimes people don't type in the right titles. So you don't know exactly if that person is the right person. But this will help you get started and kind of help you start mapping out the leads. So you can see down here we have discover leads, common searches, decision makers, shared alumni. So there's a lot of information here, and you can see it has like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. So it kind of breaks them out for you. Now again, it's not going to be perfect. This is LinkedIn. It's trying to map them based on what people report on their LinkedIn profile. Okay, it doesn't have the company org chart, and it's not plotting them in that way for you. All right, so you can see like the total number of employees, whether or not that's gone up or down. This is important to pay attention to from a business development perspective. Just so you know, are they hiring now, or are they letting a bunch of people go? These could be triggers that would be important to you based on the account and what you do. Okay, so that's basically just a quick overview of what you're going to see in the account map. Now you'll see here we can also star these, so we can make them like a priority account. We could also add a note here. So basically, this is like just internal note, and you could save it. Great. So we got a note there. So that's helpful too if you are working with a virtual assistant and maybe they're pulling together a list of accounts for you inside your Sales Navigator account. Again, watch my episode on protecting your LinkedIn account. Don't give your LinkedIn account information to anyone without following proper protocols. Please keep that in mind. But if you are collaborating with somebody on this, just saying, you do want to make sure that you are using these notes. You can use these notes back and forth to approve or disapprove people that are showing up in this search on this list that maybe your virtual assistant has found for you. Okay, so then you can also see here, you can add them to another list or remove from list. All right, so pretty straightforward. You can keep this as simple as you want to make it. So let's go back to the account list. So again, it tells you last updated, how many people are in, or how many accounts are in each of these lists here. All right. Now let's look at leads. We will get to searches, don't worry. So leads is going to look very similar. So you can see here we have a lot of different lists of leads, and you can see all kind of varying with the number of people on them. Dean of admissions is one that I really want to pay attention to because I'm a pre-med, so I'm definitely keeping track of medical schools and deans and such. So you'll see that that's a new list for me, and that was last updated. And then you will also see all saved leads here. So that just puts all of the leads that are in these lists all together if you want to look at them all in one. All right. So if we go into here, you're going to see it looks very, very similar to what the accounts list looks like. Now, it's also going to show here account. Gerbil Life Insurance Company. This is not on a list. Okay. So then we'll also see here. Okay. This is not on a list either. But if you click on this, it's going to take you to a page that looks like this. And you can see, oh, that's where that account map is, Relationship Explorer. So it looks very similar to what we saw in the accounts list, right? Pretty cool. All right. So the more, and don't be worried, just a caveat, as you're getting used to Sales Navigator, it can feel overwhelming, like there's a lot going on. But really keep in mind, it's about list of people that you want to get connected to, whether you're starting with a search for the company or a search for the type of persona or person that you're looking for. There's still lists of people that you want to get connected to. Okay. So don't be overwhelmed. It's not that bad. All right. So looking at the geography, this is also pretty neat because it tells you where they're located. For some people and some clients that I work with, the geography matters a lot. So we will actually start with a lead search, not an account search, because geography is so, so important. All right, so then you can also see the notes here. Public notes are visible to anyone. You can, share these with your colleagues and such. If you have a team Sales Navigator account, it will also tell you here whether you have done any activity. So activity means messaging, email, connection request to this lead. Helps you stay organized, especially if you want to use Sales Navigator from that perspective. I like to use stuff I like to also document everything in a good old fashioned spreadsheet, because what if you do decide to cancel your Sales Navigator account at some point? All of this is going to be lost. So do make sure that you have another backup method if you are using Sales Navigator as your CRM. Okay. All right, so as you're looking here, you can see you can actually message the person directly right from here. You can edit an associated account, you can connect, you can add or remove them or put them in a different list. So it's pretty straightforward and simple. It doesn't have as many bells and whistles as a lot of other like traditional CRMs that you may be thinking about. But what I really like is it's connected to everybody's LinkedIn profiles, and you can do it all right here. Now, does Sales Navigator actually connect to CRMs? It does connect to Salesforce, and that's the one integration that I've actually managed a little bit and helps some clients manage. It's not perfect though. There are some bugs that we noticed the last time that we used it. So I still like to keep everything in a good old fashioned spreadsheet and import that into a CRM. Okay. All right, so I think that covers it for the accounts list, the leads list, and the home. Let me show you messaging and then we will get to searches. All right, so messaging. All right, so if you are sending emails through Sales Navigator, you're going to see stuff in your messaging here. Okay, so you can see messages that I sent, responses, and you can see more messaging here. You can also see like the person's profile. You can see, oh, do you want to save them as a lead? Not, you could also see, oh, if they have their phone number listed, if they have their email listed. It's all very easily accessible, who your shared connections are, when they shared a post. If you want to go engage with people, this is a really good way to do it. It just kind of like puts everything nicely for you. Also, sharing any articles. Yeah, I already covered that. So if you click on this, it's going to take you to the Sales Navigator view of this person. If you want to, you can add them to a list here. You can add notes here. Notes they will not see, so don't worry. They're not going to see that they're added to a list. They're not going to see that you added notes. But these are just for you internally. You can also see your timeline here. So like, what has been going on? Like, when did you first get connected? All of that good stuff. If you want to go look at them on LinkedIn, you can, but you kind of have to go to LinkedIn to look at them. So just keep in mind, it gives you a different view in Sales Navigator than it does on LinkedIn. Okay. So if we click this, it would take us to the LinkedIn profile. And then we'd be off to go see the LinkedIn profile. And I don't think you can see what I just clicked over and shared with Debbie there because I went to a different tab as I was talking about Debbie. I was looking at her Sales Navigator. All right, we're keeping it real here. All right, so let's talk about, I think that's all I want to say in messaging. It's helpful. As you can see, I use my LinkedIn messaging much more than my Sales Navigator. The one thing that I use Sales Navigator for is more formal communication. So if I'm not connected to somebody or I want to send them something a little extra special, then this is what I would do is I'd write a personal message and send it to them and use an email to do so. And that tends to work pretty well, especially for those who are higher up in organizations or people that may come to your profile and think you're like, in my case, the example I'm showing here, she may think I'm trying to pitch or something, and actually I'm not. It's just that I don't have anything that says pre-med on my LinkedIn profile. So I felt like an email would be appropriate in this case. So just keep that in mind. Your emails are really awesome places to connect with people, especially if they're hard to reach or may not understand why you are reaching out to connect. Okay. All right. Now let's get to the fun stuff. Searches. Okay. Some of you may go, OMG. Your eyes may get this wide when you see all of this criteria here. Okay, so basically what a search is. LinkedIn has a very robust platform. Is it the best ever? Probably not. I'm sure there are some systems that are a little bit more sophisticated than LinkedIn, but it's pretty darn good. So when you come to LinkedIn and you want to search, the most important thing is that you start your search with the right lead or account search. So do you want to find the people or do you want to search by account? If it's really important that you are looking for companies that, you're thinking, okay, a billion plus in revenue. They need to have X number of employees. They need to have like all of this criteria that you would look for in an account per se. Then you need to start with an account search. Okay, so you would start with an account search. As you can see here, you can put in annual revenue, company headcount growth, headquarters location, industry, all of this really, really interesting stuff. And they've actually gotten a little more sophisticated with the industry. So you'll notice a lot more industries here than there used to be. If you are comparing it to what used to be there, they've gotten better. Number of followers, recent activities. As you can see here, senior leadership changes. That's a big one for a lot of people. Funding events, depending on the industry and depending on who you're targeting, that could be an interesting one for you too. And then connection. So first degree connections. This is a new feature, which I think is neat. All right. And then companies in CRM. Again, if you have a CRM and you want to connect your CRM, you need to have a specific type of Sales Navigator account. I don't have that account. I just have the Sales Navigator core account. So it's a very basic Sales Navigator account. So you will need to have a little bit of a pricier account to connect it to like Salesforce. All right. Then saved accounts, all my saved accounts, account lists, all of that good stuff. And then you can see the rest of the filters there. All right, so all of that information will be very important if you're searching from an account perspective and then drilling down to find the people within the company. Now, if you're a little bit different, you're like, well, Mindy, I'm actually looking for HR heads of HR, and hopefully they want to buy whatever it is you have to sell. Maybe you're a consultant or do training for employees, and so you want to find heads of HR. You want to find people. What do they call them? Director of people management, all of that good stuff. Then you would probably want to start here with a lead search. It's a little easier than looking for the accounts, unless you only work with companies that are really specific in the certain, revenue ranges, headcount ranges. I would probably start with a lead search in this case. Okay. So just think about it in terms of, do you have to start with the account, or can you start with the people and the job titles? So, in terms of this, I think of accounts as companies, leads as job titles, people that I'm searching for by job title. And then you can get very specific. You can add in a lot of positive and negative keywords to find these people. And we don't have time to go in crazy depth here, but just know that there are a lot of tutorials that will show you how to go in a little bit more depth with setting up this search too. A little bit more nerdy than I am. All right, so I just wanted to show you briefly what is in here so you know what you can type in. I will also show you some sample searches on both so you can see what those look like. So company headcount, you'll see a lot of it is the same on both the account and the lead search. It's just going to spit out, with an account search, it's going to spit out a name of a bunch of companies. With the lead search, it's going to spit out a bunch of people's names. All right. Big difference. All right. So you can see that here we can search for different functions, job titles, current and past, past not current. These are important to know because depending on who you're targeting, you may be looking for people who used to be in HR, but now are entrepreneurs. Something like that could be interesting. So just keep in mind, there's a lot of creative ways that you can go about doing that. Seniority level, I usually use this a lot when I'm looking for people on LinkedIn. Years in current company, this could also be a good one if you are looking for people who are new to their role or people who are pretty established in the role and have been there for a certain period of time. That could be really helpful. Years in current position, again, if it doesn't matter about the current company, but how long they've been in that specific position. That's the difference there. Activities or shared experiences. Did they change jobs in the last 90 days? This is a big one for a lot of people. Mentioned in the news, posted on LinkedIn, following your company, all of those things. Keywords and articles. I don't really use that one so much, but you could try some Boolean searches there and just see what pops up for you, depending on who you're targeting, of course. Connections, this is going to be first, second degree connections, group members. Geography, this is an important one that I use for a lot of clients and for myself. Then we have industry here. And again, like I mentioned, very similar to the accounts. You can actually pick the industry, and LinkedIn is pretty good with narrowing it down quite a bit. So do try to get as specific as you can. And keep in mind, one little tip on industry, some companies are not listed under the appropriate industry. They don't, because it's something that you self-select. So you may find that somebody is in, you think, okay, I'm looking for chiropractors, but they may list themselves under hospitals. So just kind of keep that in mind too. If you're not getting enough people, just broaden the industries and make sure that you're getting everybody who might list themselves somewhere else. Okay. Groups, first name, last name. Usually I don't use this. I will give you one funny example though. There was one client who wanted all men. Like he's like, okay, I want to just target men in these specific industries and such. So what we did was we actually used like the most common male names. We had this massive list of like common first names of men to actually, kind of make sure the women didn't pop up in the search. No offense to the women, but it was just, certain market and a certain offer that was men specific. So that was an interesting use case for first names. Like, oh, okay. That's the only time I've used first names though. Profile, school, lead list. Yeah. So I think that pretty much covers it. Now let me go to show you what saved searches look like. Now that you know what searches are, let's just pick one. Let's go with this PE one here. And you can see once it's actually filled out, you can see, oh, okay, this is what it looks like once you have names in here. So you can see we have 396 results. These ones here are going to be new results. So keep in mind that when you plug in a search, people move, people leave jobs, So people are going to appear and disappear from your list depending on the week. So if you're using that same list and reaching out to 5 to 10 people a week from your list, just realize that new people are going to get added. People that have left a job are going to disappear from this list. Just keep that in mind. It is very dynamic. So kind of looking here, you'll see we have geography, we have industry, we have company headcount, job titles, and then you'll see here we have viewed profile. That's a negative. So that means if they've already looked at our profile, we don't want them to show up here. And then message, we don't want them to show up if we've already messaged them. This is very helpful to make sure that you are not getting people on your list you're already connected to or have interacted with in the past. Okay. All right. So that's what a lead search looks like. Let's actually see what other searches we've got here. Let's pick an account search so you can see what that looks like. Monday. I don't know what Monday is, but let's see what Monday is. All right, so we are looking at Monday, and we can see here that we're using just 3 filters. We're pretty broad with the companies that we're targeting. Headquarters, it looks like we are in the US and Europe. And then industries, we have quite a wide range of industries, but it's looking like a lot of HR, tech, professional services, higher education. And you can see here, we have quite a few results and we've got 3 new results, but this is an account search. You can see the difference. We have companies, not people. Now we can drill down to see the people inside these companies, but we're starting with the companies first and then finding the people inside of the companies. Okay. All right. So I think that covers our whirlwind tour through Sales Navigator. So if you have additional questions, I know we covered a lot. I know I talk fast and there's a lot to be uncovered. I didn't go into all the nuance. For those of you who are crazy nerdy and are really good at Sales Navigator, you may think that was pretty broad, a broad interpretation of Sales Navigator. But I really want those of you who are curious about what Sales Navigator can do to understand how to use it, because Sales Navigator, it has been one of the benchmarks of my business. I have actually used it in so many cases when especially when my client that I was working with had a lot of trouble saying, Mindi, I just can't find my people. I know they're on LinkedIn, but I don't know how to find them. You can get creative and you can find just about anyone in any industry doing anything on LinkedIn. People are on LinkedIn more than they were 5, 10 years ago. People have paid more attention to their LinkedIn profiles over the past 5 years, which makes it so much easier to actually find them with like specific Boolean searches. If you're looking for people that are consider themselves public speakers or consider themselves thought leaders or have a strategic approach, like those are little keywords that you can actually search their profiles for. So there are a lot of really clever things that you can do to find your people using something like Sales Navigator, and Sales Navigator is pretty awesome. So if you have additional questions, reach out to me. I also have a select number. I think LinkedIn gives me like 10 referrals that I can give out to people who are interested in using Sales Navigator. I do not get a kickback, so please be aware I'm not getting paid by LinkedIn to do this. But if you want to take Sales Navigator for a spin and you have not used a premium account in the past, probably 6 months or thereabouts, I should be able to give you like a free 2-month trial with Sales Navigator. First come, first serve. So reach out to me, just message me and say, hey, Mindi, I really want to try Sales Navigator. Do you still have any of those referrals available? First come, first serve, like I said. So if you're curious and you want to test out Sales Navigator, just message me. But I'm also here to help. So as you're getting started, as you're setting things up, reach out, let me know how things are going. If you get stuck, if you're like, Mindi, I really want to see this, and here's what I'm seeing, I think something is messed up in my search, I am happy to take a look at some screenshots and let you know where you might be going wrong and help you troubleshoot. So please reach out. Don't be a stranger. I'm here for you. I really want to support you on your LinkedIn journey. So that's it for this week. I know, different style of Mondays with Mindi. So this was pretty fun though. So I will see you all next week, next Monday, same time, same place. If you have any questions and you want to message me directly, feel free. If you have anything that's a broader question and you want me to answer it and kind of follow up on anything Sales Navigator related, leave it as a comment below this post, because that will help other people understand and get their questions answered. They might be thinking the same thing as you are. So I will see you all next week. Have a beautiful rest of your week. Bye for now.